Hi, I'm Shon Lundberg. I'm pastor at Community Baptist Church in Ankeny. I'm currently serving as the treasurer for the State Association. Thank you for participating in this portion of our online conference this year. Before I get too far along, there were 2 downloads that should have been available to you. If you haven't already, I'd encourage you to push pause and go and download those documents. They're both prefaced by 2020 Treasurer's Report. They are different, though. One is the 2019-2020 summary from last year, and the second document is the proposed 2021 budget. If you have those documents already, or if you can go print them quickly, I will be referencing them throughout this presentation and hoping that you have a better understanding of our state finances through those documents and through this video. I'll just kind of walk our way through these. Take the first document I'd like you to pull out is the 2019-2020 summary. Should look familiar to you. At the top it says IARBC Treasurer Report. This is something that's been used in the past just to give a macro view of the past year. I'm very pleased with the great year that God has given to us through your partnership, and I just want to say a hearty thank you. I wish you were here so that I could express that to you in person. Just a great year, and you'll see that quickly from the numbers. There's 2 columns. The red heading, March 2019, February 2020, is our primary focus for this year. I included the other column. That's the previous year, just for comparison's sake. I'm the kind of guy who likes to compare this year's numbers to last year's. Have we improved? Is it the same? Where are we? So that last column, the March 2018, February 2019, is for reference sake only. So taking a look at the column for this last year, March 2019 to February 2020, it's the red heading there. Just take a glance there. I'll highlight a few things to you and make some comments at the end. That very first row, church support, Friends of the Fellowship. We just had a great year, $82,000 and some odd change there. Just a great year, and I say thank you for those who regularly support, those who increase support this past year. And then you can see our offerings, our gifts, and our miscellaneous was up as well. That's $36,500. Now that's a bigger jump there. That's about $15,000. There's a couple of reasons for that. We'll see it specifically on the next document, but really I can attribute it to 2 things. One was the church that closed in Rhinebeck left a legacy gift to the association of $20,000, which was a huge boost to us. But also there were a number of churches that responded to our plea. That was last year at the conference. We made a plea for increased giving or special gifts. We also sent out a letter throughout the year asking the same thing, and there were several churches that responded with special gifts, and that makes up that increase. But you can see when you get down to total income that there was a significant increase, $31,000 more than the previous year. Praise the Lord. What a great job, what a great response by you pastors in your leadership roles, but also churches, and sacrificially giving to the State Association, ultimately to the Lord. You look at our expenses or expenditures there. I don't know that there's anything outstanding that I would point out to you. Nothing that is an anomaly to me. But you can see we had an increase in expenditures. But overall, go down to the total profit loss column, and wow, what a difference. This year, we are plus $15,800. Compare that to a year ago, negative $9,000. What a substantial difference. And I just, again, a hearty thank you and of appreciation for your response and for your sacrificial giving. As you continue to make your way down, you can look at the designated accounts. Don't let the 0 in the general savings alarm you. We consolidated accounts this past year, and so that explains why there will be no longer have a savings account. The $15,000 is in general checking. Because of the good year that we had in giving, we've been able to save up, not a nest egg, but to have 2 months' expenses saved there in the general checking for emergency's sake. It's a good practice to have in your own home, And so it's just nice to be able to have a little bit of money there, that if something's tight or in a month, we still have a little bit of resources that we can use. Everything else looks pretty common as it comes to our accounts. A little bit of growth, a little bit of expense. Going down to internal loans, I need to draw your attention to this. With all the good that has happened this year, we still need to understand what is our overall health, all right? So if you were to ask me, I'm very optimistic. We had a great year. My assessment is that we have started to right the ship. We've made a good turn. Last year was a great year. We have a little bit more work to do. I have one more illustration of that, but let me at least share the figures, and I think it'll help you understand. So in the internal loans, in June of 2019, we had reached a max of $30,000 that we had borrowed primarily from the revolving loan fund. Those funds are designated to help churches with the building of structures, and so those funds were given specifically for that purpose. So we hate to borrow from that, but we do it. We've done it in the past in times of necessity when there's been a lack of cash flow. So in June of 2019, we had reached a max of $30,000. But because we had the good year, we were able to repay $10,000 in this past year towards that internal loan. And that leaves, number 3, an internal loan of $20,000 that we still need to repay. So are we healthy? We're getting there. We had a great year. We need to pay back this internal loan. You can see the dates there when each of those loans were taken out, $5,000 each time, and spanning back to 2016. Now, if you were, as a church, saying, what could we do to help? Or you wanted an area to target this year, this would be a great area. Maybe as a church, you could say, you know what, we want to target one of those loans. We want to pay off one by ourselves. We had one church this year that gave a gift, a special gift of $5,000. Incredible. That gift went to paying back one of these other loans. And so if we had 4 churches that were able to do that, and I know that's a lot of money, and the way the economy is going, I don't know what lies before us in this next year. But that would be a great area to target. Say maybe you can't do it as an individual church. What if one of our pastors' fellowships, our churches in one area, maybe the churches in the central area where I'm located, said, hey, you know what? We're going to do this together. We're going to target one of those $5,000 loans, and we're going to get this internal loan paid back. I just think it's just a fantastic area. So I'm very optimistic. An excellent year, as you look at the summary here, between the special giving, the gift from Lundberg is a unique gift. It's bittersweet, right? Church closes, which we hate to see, but the gift is really a boost for the association. So the good and the bad. I think the biggest thing, and we'll see it on the next document, my biggest encouragement is the increase of long-term committed giving by our churches. And I'll get more specific later. But here's my second analogy. We have more to do. My son's taken up cross-country running. I was never a cross-country runner, so I've had to learn the whole climate. As a parent, you start at the beginning and you run to different places throughout the course, and you encourage them on. And it's really interesting because partway through, they'll come running right next to you, right by you. And you yell out, great job! You're doing great! But you have more work to do. Keep going. Keep pressing on. And so that's my assessment of this year. Great, great job. Churches of the Iowa Association of Regular Baptist Churches, great job. Keep going. Keep going. Let's get that internal loan paid back, and let's become a collection of healthy churches, and that's reflected with a healthy association as well. All right. That's the summary of last fiscal year. If you take out your second document, again, that's your 2020 Treasurer's Report, but then it goes on and says 2021 Proposed Budget. Let me just explain this document to you just a little bit. It might be confusing to you. This shows line items of all of our expenditures, income and expenditures. But the 5 columns that you had before you, the 2 red are our primary focus. the second and fourth column. That would be our actual expenses from this past year, and then the proposed budget that the Council of 10 has worked through and approved to recommend to you that we adopt for this upcoming year. The other columns are there, again, for comparison's sake. So the first column compares the figures from the previous year to last year, compares the line items. You can also see in the third column the budget. So this is the budget that was approved a year ago, and so you can compare. Then the fifth column shows you the difference between the budget that we approved 1 year ago to the budget we are proposing for this year. For me, again, it just helps to see the difference from 1 year to the next. As I work my way down through this, I'll try to identify the line item and the rationale for the difference. I've tried to identify any of the anomalies or areas that jumped out to me. Unfortunately, with this format, we're just not able to take questions. If you have questions, either about the previous summary or about the line items, the proposed budget, I'd welcome those. You can send those directly to me at cbcankeny@gmail.com. That is CBC, Community Baptist Church, Ankeny@gmail.com. And I'll get those, and I'll answer whatever questions you have to the best of my ability. All right. Line 4110, support from churches. That's a significant increase, $8,200. You might feel that it's not justified. I feel comfortable with this because of the increases that we've seen from our churches. Now, this is not a hard, fast number. Not every church that makes a decision to increase giving communicates that to us, but we see it reflected in their giving pattern. And so we've looked at those giving patterns. We've taken commitments that churches have communicated to us. And I tell you, again, praise the Lord and thank you for your partnership. But we have seen a committed increase for this next year of $8,400. Fascinating as I work through this list and I see all the churches and their increased commitment to giving. And I, blown away. I loved getting these emails throughout the year. We had individuals, besides just churches, we had some individuals take on support, and then we had special gifts from the churches. That's not reflected here. This is committed giving, and so we feel comfortable with this increase. If we bring in that $82,000, that will be the highest amount that we have brought in since 2007. As I've tracked the giving for the past 14 years, we've just been a slow downward trend from support from our churches. If we were able to bring in that $82,000, that would match the highest that the IRBC has received from churches since 2007 when it was $81,800. So I think we can do it. I thank you for your commitment, and we'll just trust the Lord that we were able to reach that amount. But I'm very comfortable with that. The council is comfortable with that as well. 4130 is the referral income. The majority of this comes from Brotherhood Mutual. Brotherhood Mutual, and if we have 100 churches in our association, we are able to receive a max gift of $10,000. Last year we budgeted $8,000. We weren't sure what happened if we fell below that $1,000 mark. We weren't sure, so we budgeted $8,000. We found out later that the max we can get if we're under 100 is $5,000. And we did receive that this past year. Terry Townsend sent a check from Brotherhood Mutual. Man, we're praising the Lord for that. And but that's why we adjusted that one to be no higher than $5,000. So those are a couple of the changes for the income. If you look at line 4511, these are undesignated gifts from churches. Look at the second column. There's a huge increase there. Reflected in this is the Rhinebeck closing their gift of $20,000, and then special gifts taken up by churches throughout the year in response to our plea. 4518, honorariums. We had to drop that just a little bit. Tim's not able to get out to speak in churches with the COVID-19 situation. So there's just been a drop in the honorarium. We anticipate that. Also, there's just been a trend that he hasn't been into as many churches. Not as many churches are inviting him to come speak. Here, I'll put a plug in for him right now. If you'd like to have Tim Capon come, reach out to him, invite him to your church, take up a love offering, and this is what it goes towards, is supporting the association. But thank you in advance for that. Look down at line 4521, registrations, 4522, and offering. Again, this is a bit of an unknown with this online conference. We didn't know the financial impact. You've heard some of the pleas from Tim to continue to support, to send those registrations in, because we do budget for those resources and for those finances to come in. And so if we didn't have those come in, you can see the significant impact that that would have. All right, keep dropping down. I think the next biggest impact, maybe the largest one on the budget, is lines 4712 and 4713. This would be the Women's Renew and the Men's Revive. This would be the offerings. We anticipated this. We alternate offerings with the camp. And so we budgeted, obviously, for those last year. This year, the camp receives those funds. And so we had to take those out of our income revenue source. So, man, you have all this increase in church giving, but we're losing a significant portion as well. They're actually going to offset fairly closely. So you look down at the very bottom of total income, and you see that we're actually projecting that we'll bring in $5,000 less, about $5,300 less than last year. I think that's everything on the income side that I would draw your attention to. Again, I'd say this. We as an association need to continue to find ways to increase our revenue sources, or to find additional revenue sources, maybe a better way of phrasing that. I've referenced one already. Maybe a church can take on a special project, a special gift, a special offering. You target that internal loan and be able to work that down and knock that down. We could, we're batting around some ideas as a council of 10. Doug Farrell's been trying to put some work into the dollar days, reviving that concept, trying to find something to alternate on the alternating years of those camp offerings, to have some sort of revenue source that would go every other year to complement, so there's not such a stark or strong contrast or drop off in the income. You might think about legacy gifts. That Rhinebeck gift was a huge boost in the arm for us. And as you think of church planning, we'd hate for any church to close. But maybe you write something into your church plan that if it ever were to happen, God forbid, but that there'd be a small gift. It doesn't have to be a large gift. A small gift to go to the Iowa Association. Maybe you think about that as an individual. Legacy gifts, where, I have 3 kids. And I think long term, what happens to me in the day that I die, my estate's broken up? Could I set aside a small gift for the Iowa Association? And the kids get the rest, but there's special ministries that I could target. I think there's a lot of people within our churches that could leave legacy gifts and just provide this timely boost. As they get transferred on to glory, they leave those behind with a small gift and a small encouragement. We need to target maybe Friends of the Fellowship. If we are maxing out our church giving, church support, highest since 2007, we've got to look for other ways. Are there individuals within your church that could give on a regular basis? Friends of the Fellowship. Tim Capon's going to make that a point of emphasis this year, looking for individuals who will commit to monthly, quarterly, annual giving to support the association. And of course, some of the smaller ways that I talked about last year, direct deposit saves time, administrative costs, and then Amazon Smile is another tangible way. If you don't know about that, contact me. That is just where a portion of everything you spend goes to your charity of your choice. We qualify for that. All right, so that's the income side. Let's buzz through the expenses and we'll be done. So turn to the second page there on your proposed budget. Line 5130 is our state rep's salary. We are proposing a 3% increase to Tim's salary. I appreciate Tim's willingness. The last 2 years, we've put a freeze on that to try and get us back to where we could propose a balanced budget. Tim has been willing to do that, and so I think this is a great way to honor him. And so you see a small increase there. 5141 health insurance. You see a drop there of $4,000. Tim has shared with me and with the Council of 10 some of his health care costs estimates going forward. He's reached an age where he can take part of Medicare, and that's going to change his costs as it relates to health insurance. So that's going to save the association about $4,000 this year, and then a little bit more in subsequent years as well. I don't know that there's anything else I would draw your attention to. Again, if you have questions of any of these items, contact me. I can help with whatever questions you have. If you look at line 5400, Office Administrative, you can see a slight increase there, about $800 as you add up postage and supplies, bank charges. There's just some things we've added online, QuickBooks, just some bank fees, just some things that have made doing the task of financing easier, more efficient, and there's just some monthly subscription costs that we've calculated into our expenses. I would draw your attention to line 5450. Look at the second column, actual. You see a large increase, about $2,400 there under technology. That was for a new laptop for the gals in the office. A couple of years ago, the ladies at the Renew retreat took up a special offering for the gals in the office specifically for a new computer. Money was tight, and those funds had to go to payroll, and so we never purchased that new laptop. Well, with the banner year that we had, the good year that we had financially, we had some extra funds, so we spent those funds that those ladies gave for that to buy that designated gift. So thank you, ladies who attended Renew a couple years ago. We have purchased that laptop, and the State Association is benefiting from your kindness. Again, for the rest of the expenditures, there's really nothing that stands out to me. Let me know if you have any questions. You get down to the bottom, and you see our total expenses is $126,000 and some odd change. But the net income, again, for the second year in a row, we've been able to present a balanced budget, and we're so excited for that. Again, this is I think a very doable and a budget that we can manage. And again, it's all dependent on you churches continuing to sacrificially give and support, but man, I look forward to that. Again, I think that is all that I have to share with you regarding finances. If you have any questions, you can contact me directly. But again, a huge thank you for all your great giving, your special gifts, the regular gifts from the small $5 a month to the large $300 a month. And we have that whole span. I thank you for that. For some of you churches that were not able to give or increase your giving this past year, maybe the Lord would prompt you or allow you this year to continue to increase by just a little bit, and every church doing a little bit helps us in some great ways. Again, thank you so much. Praise the Lord for all He's done, and you will have that link. You need to vote on a couple of these items. You'll have to vote on approving the budget. You'll vote on the revolving loan officers. There's instructions for that, and there's a separate link to do the voting. Find those online and make sure you get your votes in by this Friday. Thank you.